What is up, everyone? Guys, listen up. In this video, I'm gonna go over some of the best gem combos and passive skill combos to get power charges the most effective way so that you don't struggle with them ever again. There's a bunch of ways you can create them, but not all of them actually work at endgame. They're actually, some of them are very frustrating. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna start off with easier combos to put together, and the later combos are gonna be the more advanced combos. And the first way to get power charges is gonna be with resonance. Now, this is a very simple one and something that a lot of people use. The problem the resonance version has is bossing. However, I have a way to fix that for you guys in this version of resonance. So this one says gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. So essentially what you want to do is you want to find the best ways to get yourself frenzy charges, and thanks to resonance, it's going to turn into power charges, right? That keystone makes that possible. Now, what we need for that is combat frenzy. This one says that gain a frenzy charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy no more than once every 1.65 seconds. So when you combine this with the resonance, we're getting a lot of power charges simply because we're generating a lot of frenzy charges, right? You really need to make sure you have the heralds ready to go, and so that they're actually pretty strong as well. That will give you the ability to proc your combat frenzy more often, which means more frenzy charges, more power charges. You guys get the point. So when it comes to clearing and mapping in general, it's pretty straightforward. You are going to be getting your charges as long as you land your freeze, electrocute, or pin on the enemies. That's just as easy as that. And honestly, this is one of the more easier ways and consistent ways to get your charges when you're clearing or mapping in general. However, when it comes to bossing, that's where it kind of slows down, and we have to do a few things in order for this to work efficiently. So let's take a look at that. Now, when it comes to bossing, we are going to be using the Hand of Chayula. When you pick up Hand of Chayula, you are going to slap on Sniper's Mark as well. And Sniper's Mark is what's going to give you the ability to get your power charges during bossing. All you got to do is when you see a boss, you got to hit him with Hand of Chayula. It's going to mark him with Sniper's Mark. We also have Profusion here. Every time we mark the boss and then we land a critical hit on that boss, we will get a power charge. Now, in order to make this even better, you're going to slap on Second Wind and Ingenuity. This is going to give you the ability to proc the Sniper Mark more often, which means more power charges. And the combination of Combat Frenzy and Hand of Chayula with Sniper's Mark will cover everything with this combo right here. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to hit him with the Hand of Chayula, then we're going to hit him with our normal hits. That's going to proc and give us power charges as we land a crit shot. Then we're going to drop a Tempest Bell on him, and then we're going to flicker. Unless he dies before that. But, you know, that's the rotation in general. So let's get it going. Hit him. Boom. Gets marked up. All the debuffs. We got the charge. Now remember, you can do this again if you want more charges. Just like that. And now we have more charges. Drop the bell, right? And then we flicker. And he gets absolutely destroyed. Okay, now let's talk about how to get power charges without getting resonance. Once again, this method is also going to be a little bit more beginner friendly, and the next two versions is where it's going to get very interesting and very advanced as well. But first, let's take a look at this one. So for this version of the build, we're going to be utilizing Lingering Illusion. Essentially, while you're rolling, you create an illusion. Every time that illusion gets hit by the enemy, you will get yourself a power charge. Just as simple as that. Now, you could equip, for example, Profusion on this, which has a 50% chance to grant an additional charge. And every time the Lingering Illusion gets destroyed, you have a chance to get double amount of power charges, which is cool. However, this is not going to be the only way that we're getting power charges with this setup. We're also going to be utilizing Profane Ritual, and this one turns corpses into power charges. Now, the problem with Profane Ritual on its own is that its animation kind of slows you down. So, for example, right here, we have a corpse, right? So if I start casting this, you see that my movement kind of slows down a little bit, and a lot of people don't really enjoy that. And to be honest, when it's going crazy, that can be quite annoying. So how do we get rid of that? Well, there is something called Reaper's Invocation, and this will give you the ability to utilize Profane Ritual without actually using the skill by yourself. So what that means is you're going to take this. Let me throw this in here first. So we're going to pick up Profane Ritual and we're going to slot it into Reaper's Invocation. Then we're going to activate this as well. And now every time we get a kill, Reaper's Invocation builds up energy. When it has energy, you will have charges of Reaper's Invocation, and every time you consume these charges, the Profane Ritual will proc, and you will automatically gain power charges. Now I'm going to showcase all of this. However, before we do that, keep in mind that it's smart to use Profusion on this as well if you want to get more power charges from Reaper's Invocation. And on top of that, it's smart to use Impetus because it will build up the energy faster for your Reapers, which means that you're going to be getting the charges faster as well. One thing I want to say is that with this kind of setup, you want to start up with the rolls. You will see that as I'm rolling, our illusions got destroyed and now I have 6 charges. I will turn this into a charge staff. And now let's say we get a few kills here. Boom. We're going to need some more kills to showcase this because you see that it's building up here. So right here, you guys already see that we have 3 charges, right? So what this means, guys, is that now when I proc this skill, you will see that it's not going to slow me down. I'm just going to use it. Profane procced all around us, and boom, we got a bunch of charges. Now I have to build it up again, right? And then I'll have more charges, and I can essentially move around the map, clear, do whatever I want. And when I feel like I need charges, I'll just press Reapers, and it's just going to proc the Profane, and I'm going to be getting charges. Let's say you also want another way to do this sometimes on your own, just in case you're not proccing charges as fast as you would like to in a crazy situation. What you can do, you can separately equip Profane as well. So just have another one crafted and slot it in one of the slots, and you can use this whenever you want to separately in case you don't want to always utilize Reaper's Invocation. Now, one thing to mention with this setup is that it's kind of a problem when you're fighting bosses, because if you get to a boss without having charged staff, it takes a lot of time to get ready for the boss fight, right? And what I mean by that is, like, you'll have to kind of roll around the boss so that he destroys the illusions. You get a bunch of power charges, then you got to turn it into charge staff, then you got to start rolling again, and then you get power charges, and then you can start attacking the boss. So that is why, in my opinion, this is not like a super efficient method to get power charges when it comes to bossing. For clearing, it works. You're not going to have any problems on mapping. But the next build that we're going to take a look at, which is a more advanced build, this one takes care of bossing really well. So let's break it down. And my personal favorite way is with minions. And I know that sounds kind of weird on a monk, but yeah, that's possible. And if you set this up correctly, you're never going to have to swap around the gems. So essentially what we're going to be doing, guys, we are not going to be using resonance for this build. We are directly going to be getting power charges with the help of Profane Ritual. So there's a few things you're going to need here. For the second weapon, you are going to need a scepter, which summons 2 minions on its own, right? The rattling scepter, essentially. You are also going to need an unset ring. This is there to add an extra skill slot. So what you are going to do is you're going to be using Skeletal Warrior and Sacrifice. Now, for people that don't know, what Sacrifice does is it makes it possible for your minions to count as corpses. So essentially, you can summon your minions and then use Profane and get your charges from your minions without any kind of outside help. With one click of a button, you're gonna summon all these minions, and you can do this mid-boss fight, mid-clearing, whenever you want to. And then you're gonna proc your Profane, and look at this. We already have charges. So you're going to equip Sacrifice, you're going to equip Skeletal Warrior, and then what you have to do is assign all of this to the right weapon. What that means is we want to tie this to the scepter. So you're going to push this little button right here, and you will see that you have 2 options, weapon number 1 and weapon number 2. So on weapon number 2, you are going to assign, for example, in this case, 4 warriors to spawn. And then you are going to go to your Sacrifice, and you are going to do the same. You are only going to activate this for weapon number 2. As you guys can see here, it is unmarked for weapon number 1. So if you swap your weapons like this is what you should see. You should see all of these guys spawn up. Now, let's say this doesn't happen. I'm going to go over a few reasons why this could be happening. You need to go to all of your skills that also consume spirit. For example, Herald of Ice needs 30 spirit. If you go and press this arrow right here for Herald of Ice, you will see this is only marked for weapon number 1. A lot of people make the mistake of also keeping this on weapon number 2 or any of the other ones that need spirit. And what happens is by the time you swap to this second weapon, the spirit is just taken up by the heralds and all of the other skills that consume spirit as well. So you want to unmark all of those and only mark skeletal warrior and sacrifice for your second weapon. Charge staff is fully charged up. At any time you can summon them, use them as a source of power charges. Boom, you're ready again. As you guys can see, 6 power charges ready to go, 6 charge staff ready to go. And then obviously we also need profane ritual as mentioned in order to get those charges from the minions. And in general, while clearing, you're going to be using profane ritual as well. Let's first take a look at the gems that you're going to use on profane. That's going to be unleash. This is going to make it much easier to get a bunch of charges from many corpses. Then we have arcane tempo, mobility, and finally profusion. Supported skills have 50% chance to grant an additional charge. This is perfect. Now there is one more thing that you can use with this build to make this even better. You can slap on lingering illusion. Now I'm going to quickly showcase all of this. So you are going to have this minion tech. You can start off the map just like this. You get all your charges, you turn it into a charge staff, and right here you see an enemy, right? So if I dodge here, you will see that the illusion gets destroyed and I keep getting charges. Boom, just like that. We have full charges here. And then as we're killing our enemies, if we want to turn these corpses into power charges, we just use profane. And you will see that we get power charges once again. So there's many ways with this build to create charges. Once again, a lot of corpses. Pop our profane. We got 4 charges right there. And if we are getting overwhelmed, we can always roll. And you will see that as long as the illusions are getting hit, we will always create power charges. And if you are going to be fighting a boss, for example, let's say we don't have power charges, you can disengage from the boss, quickly press one button, summon your minions, and boom, now you're going to have charges, full charges, just as easy as that, and you can get back into the boss fight. But now you might be thinking, Pip, we just learned about Reaper's Invocation with the previous build. Why can't we use it with the profane ritual in this case as well? Well, a few things here. First of all, you would need another slot to add to your skills, and that means you would need a second unset ring. As I'm running right here, I'm running 2 unset rings to have 2 extra skill slots. However, there is something way cooler you can do in order to completely automate your profane, which means that you will never ever have to think about it again, and the power charges will automatically come to you after you're getting kills. So let's take a look at that, and this is going to be the final and the most advanced way to get your perfect monk power charge build with 2 unset rings. So we are going to keep the profane ritual, so the minion tech stays as well. The minion tech is extremely important, guys, to make bossing as efficient as possible, and I will show you a tier 4 sesh boss fight as well and showcase how good this tech is. But we are going to be adding cast on critical. The reason we are going to add cast on critical is that we are going to be slotting profane ritual into cast on critical. This means that you're getting kills, your cast on critical builds up, and it will be automatically proccing profane ritual, and you're gonna get tons of power charges, and all you gotta do is just land crits and kill enemies, which you're gonna be doing anyway. Currently my crit rate on, for example, let's take a look here on Flicker, is at around 44%. If you can get to like 35% plus on your crit, this build is gonna start feeling really, really good. Pretty much 30% plus will also be okay, but obviously the higher the better. All of the rest that I went over with sacrifice, with skeletal warrior, how to adjust the skills, everything stays the same. We just added another extra slot with the ring, with the second ring, and slotted in cast on critical instead of Reaper. Now, one thing to keep in mind, a lot of people make this mistake, is once they slot in cast on critical, they also tie it to the second weapon. And the problem becomes, if you do that when you swap, instead of our 6 minions, you're only gonna get 2 from the scepter, or in general, it can mess it up as well. So make sure to press this little arrow and uncheck weapon number 2. Now let's take a look at how good this works for clearing. And then I'm gonna also show you a boss clip of this overall final advanced version of the build and how well it works. You see that I don't have any power charges here, right? So we're gonna start killing our enemies, and you will see that profane starts proccing on the ground. Boom, just like that. We got 1 charge from that because there's not a lot of enemies. As soon as you find a lot of enemies, you're gonna see a lot of profanes proccing all the time. which means that you're consistently, without slowing down, pretty much thinking about anything, you're consistently gonna feed your character with power charges. We are at max right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this into a fully charged charge staff. We're gonna start killing again. We're gonna proc profanes. We're already at 3. There's gonna be more here, already at 5, and you guys get the point. Like, the more enemies, obviously, the easier this is gonna be to proc more and more profane and get your power charges non-stop. This is extremely good. This build gives you the ability to have very high level clearing. No matter what level, breach, map you're playing, you're just not gonna struggle. And it gives you a really high level boss build as well, thanks to the minion tech. And speaking of minion tech, now let's take a look at that. Now, first I'm gonna show you a kill, and then I'm gonna show you another clip where I showcase how you can use the minion tech mid-fight as well. So let's take a look. I'm gonna get my charges here from the minions. Boom, just like that. We already have our staff ready to go, charge staff. He's gonna, I believe he's gonna use his, yeah, he's using his skill, so I'm gonna have to move away here. Avoid that. We drop the bell. Flicker on the bell. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is, guys. Come on now. Come on now. Easy, man. Easily my favorite build in the game. I'm not gonna lie. Now let's take a look at a scenario where the boss is pretty low. We have our power charges, but we don't have charge staff anymore. And I disengaged from the boss here to just showcase all of this, right? So the goal here is to show you that you can use the minion tech in the midst of chaos around you, right? So first, I'm gonna turn this into a charge staff. Boom. Now we have charge staff. You guys can see right here, it's ready to go. Now, even though the boss is attacking me, I'm just gonna summon my minions and get my full charges once again. Let's take a look. Minions spawned. We're getting attacked here, but we're just rolling away at the same time. We're grabbing some charges. We already have full charges right away. Just as easy as that, guys. It is very, very easy to do. It just takes time to get used to it. But once you do, I guarantee you it's 100% worth it, because now we have amazing clears and we have amazing tech for bossing. So you never worry about power charges ever again. And then we just destroy the boss, right? We hit him, get the bell ready, drop the bell, move away from these abilities, flicker, boom. And yeah, that's about it. That's every single tech that I've used at Endgame. And I feel like these are the most efficient ones, the most consistent ones, depending on your playstyle. I have tried some other ones, but I just don't want to waste your time on those, because I feel like a lot of those fall off towards the end game and are really not that useful. So let me know which tech you guys enjoyed the most, which tech you're going to be utilizing in your builds, and so on. I would love to have this discussion in the comment section. As always, guys, thank you so much for the incredible love and support. Stay positive, stay disciplined, and I'll see you all on the next one.